Behind me on the wall, you will notice a large mosaic of a chestnut tree. It is made from pieces of ceramic that I found on Craigslist for free, as well as some that were at the curb. And if you notice down at the bottom, where there are, let me see if I can get a better look on the other side. It is behind our wood stove, acting as a firewall. So if you look down here, what is meant to be the chestnuts surrounded by the hulls of the chestnuts, which are green and spiky, you will notice that there is broken car window. This particular window is my window. It's the only window I have ever actually smashed out of a car. It was smashed out of my car after it had been totaled by slamming 50 miles an hour into a Mercedes-Benz in front of me. That was not visible because there was a hill immediately before and a stoplight with a bunch of cars pulled up. I thankfully walked away from that accident. It was a huge reminder to me of the providence of God. And if it's not time for us to go, then it's not time for us to go. As well as my thanks to the people who make Toyotas. But I went to the fellow who was scrapping my car and I asked if I could keep something as a sentimental value, and he said, "Sure. What do you want?" And I said, "The windows." And he thought I wanted them whole. I said, "The windows? How are you going to get them out?" And I said, "Oh, I'll just break them." I've carried them with me for a little bit. I guess that would have been 2018. And this is the first project I've actually used them in. And so, ironically, the thing that was a moment of instability in my life is now part of a mosaic that is very symbolic of stability. This is the first mosaic in my own home. And the theme is a very, very old rooted chestnut tree. And for those of you who know me, the chestnut is very symbolic of my journey. I'll have to do another video about that. But this is something also symbolic of a certain stability and rootedness, which I'm blessed to be able to begin to have in my life. And if you notice, I was going to do just a simple arch, but with the tree in it, but then the tree kind of outgrew the arch. Such a massive, massive base. The pink tiles, I remember a discussion with my friend explaining to me that you can't use old tiles because they won't stick. And because I had stuff in the back I had to break off. And I kept trying to explain that I wasn't going to use them in the way that he thought I was going to use them. So there's the image of the chestnut. There's a little bit of a darkness of a cloud next to it that looks like the chestnut tree is sort of absorbing and not quite letting pass. There's a little bit of a image of a sunrise near the bottom. And if you look on the right, this chestnut tree does not have any chestnuts in it. All the chestnuts are in a pile on the ground around it, except for one. And this tree is portrayed as being in the very moment of giving its last chestnut, right there. It's falling, it's almost hitting the ground, but it's that dynamic moment of having given all. And I hope in my newfound stability to be able to give all. Right now, I'm not doing fantastic, but I'm doing a few videos here and there, and I'm thankful to those of you that are viewing them or sharing them. This is a tremendous thing to do if you are struggling and need something to keep your mind a little calm. I am not unknown to isolation, which is very common in these days, and it's helpful to have things to keep your hands busy and your mind from wandering into too many divots. So I highly recommend this. This was the first mosaic I did that was vertical, and that was a tremendous learning curve because you are working against gravity, and gravity is a powerful thing. I was speaking with someone today about how in life, when you have to get going, you have to get up in the morning, you have to get moving, you don't realize how much you're working against gravity and what a powerful thing gravity is, and what a heroic thing it is just to get up in the morning and try. So if those of you who have only done that today, don't underestimate yourself, so that is actually something worthwhile. All right. So that doesn't really have a name besides just Chestnut Tree, and it's a functional piece. It's behind the wood stove. See if I can get a better view of it for you. I will post a picture of it as well. It's of what it looked like before the wood stove was in front of it. But you definitely have to mix the thin set mortar to be very thick when you put it on, and to make sure you put the tongue and groove attachment to kind of scrape it up. And there's a bit of a texture to it, so the pieces will stick. The first part that I did was the trunk, and I don't know if you can tell or not, but it did slide down a little bit. That was a little terrifying. I try to do too much at once, so that's another lesson of life, is don't bite off more than you can chew, and do one piece at a time. I grouted the whole thing at once, which was also a very large mistake. Don't do too much at one time. If I ever did this again, I would do a lot more prep work so that I would not have to grind the mortar off of the floor. Thanks to my husband for being so patient. I'm still cleaning up the dust. That's not really fun. I'm starting to like this tree. For a while I didn't because of the experience of putting it in. But if you do prep work, have tarps down, mix your mortar very thick, then set mortar on top of hardy board backer, and get yourself some tiles. Try to find tiles that are all the same width, the same thickness. Otherwise, you might get some sharp edges pointing up that are a little hard to deal with. But for those of you who want to look for other people to give you more practical information as to how to do this, I'm sure there's somebody with a video on that. But I definitely recommend, if you need something to do to get through your troubles or get through your stress and just process some things in this time, this COVID crisis, I recommend a wall mosaic. You can also do it on hardy backer board horizontally and then install it, which I would recommend more highly than what I did. Just do your research. All right, God bless. Bye-bye.